I still wonder what had me so intrigued with the idea of chasing life, not knowing what would come next and seizing timeless moments. I only shared with people single seconds. After those small, delicate seconds of purity, I was drifting along a swift bay onto the next rigorous emotion or thought. Emotions that dazed and thoughts that proved to take over my natural inhibitions. One would call me obsessed. Obsessed with the second between the slip, between the crash, between the tears and heated breaths. I lived my life in a silver locket, trapped and glazed into this imaginary idea of shining sterling armor to protect my beautiful soft skin. I never knew that that armor I once thought protected me was more gentle and fragile than my humble heart. Still, he felt some bittersweet fantasy having me between a heartbeat and destruction. He longed for that simple hymal of hard rock lullaby to rush abruptly to his days. And that was me, Lola. I lived on, drawing dots on paper, waiting daring souls to come and connect them as I observed patiently with stewing pursuit of madness. I waited for patterns to form around me in splattering, screaming color while I spent hours rusting in water that had showered my thoughts. But that was me, Lola. I still remember the night he fell in love with me. I wasn't the type of girl you fall in love with when the sun shines, the coconut breeze fills the air while the wind hums. I wasn't a perfectly aligned masterpiece. I was different. He didn't fall in love with me the first time he noticed my iridescent smell of playful sweetness, even though he knew it smelled like home. Nor did he fall in love with me while my head rested upon his jittery shoulder, or because my hair fell chipped to the ends in 31 directions. He fell in love with me when the sunset and night fell. He loved how I could sit alone with motion all around me, while curious minds feasted their eyes. But I was settled. My mind would twitch to every sunken soul that passed, flowing through tables or crowding small spaces. My mind moved to people on their moving feet and to shitty old jazz tunes. And that's what made me his Lola. I was distractedly bold and full of life, yet interestingly quiet and intriguing. I laughed as if the premise of victory sat at the bottom of my feet. I laughed as if I knew the time the world would come to an end. And maybe I didn't know exactly when everybody's magical world would end, but I knew when mine would. I knew what moment he felt was the hardest part. I knew the one moment he felt a world of hurt. That one moment his eyes matched with mine in a crowded space, and he knew I wasn't his Lola. I was perpetually in love with the idea of being mysteriously unknown, fading into darkness like a dust beneath a spotlight and lost with a change of light. No one ever knew what I was really feeling or what I was going to say next, but I was too busy thinking to feel the space he left for me to fill. I was so close to security that my body trembled yet couldn't release itself to how he begged me to feel. And that was when I knew I was never really his Lola. He offered his eager hand to hold me. He offered his mind to counsel my teenage dilemmas. He offered all he had to cherish me, and oh, how I needed to be cherished. Some called me a leech, utterly enchanted with the idea of being loved and belonging. I craved the idea of soft cocoa butter kisses between a starry night sky, adventures along a tangerine horizon, and foggy mornings with messy hair and pale pillows. But I was one to stitch my feelings tightly, yet carelessly. But he never knew those stitches I stitched so tightly could only be opened with a tear and left with fraying edges. And that's why I could only ever be my Lola.